The Carolina Panthers have traded for Baker Mayfield. This was something that I didn't really think would happen. I knew that there was rumblings about it, and when we were talking about the possible trade situation for Baker, it was Seattle or Carolina. Those were the two teams that you heard about the most. But the Panthers went on ahead and pulled the trigger. Cleveland held out as long as they can to get Baker Mayfield off the books. I think it's safe to say that probably now Deshaun Watson won't be suspended an entire season, or Baker just informed the Browns like he just doesn't want to be there. And I think it's a good idea, of course, to get rid of someone who doesn't want to be there, because he knows that they've moved on with Watson. We know Watson's situation, but it's either he'll probably still get suspended, Deshaun Watson, for the entire season. But I think the Browns were probably trying to convince Baker to ride it out for one more year until Watson can get back. But nothing has been ruled on that side. But with the trade, the Panthers will, or Cleveland, I should say, will only have to pay Baker $10.5 million, while the Panthers pay the other $4.5 million to Baker's salary this year. And the Panthers will also get a 4th or 5th round draft pick. I think that depends on how much time Baker spends with the Panthers, because they still do have Sam Darnold on their roster. They did draft Matt Corral, so they have, 3 young quarterbacks on the roster now. But the question about this pick is, what do I think about it? Well, I mean, what? You have nothing to lose, right? You already gave up a lot for Sam Darnold from the Jets last offseason. And I think Sam Darnold is who he is at this point of his career. I think that's who he is. A guy that doesn't have great pocket awareness, thinks he has more time than he does when he's in the backfield. When he avoids one sack, he thinks that gives him the right to hold on to the ball for even longer when it doesn't. His arm is not as strong, and for what Carolina gave up, I mean, they aren't losing, so why not take the chance on Baker Mayfield? Baker, of course, a guy that took the Browns to the playoffs in 2020, won a playoff game against the Steelers. But yeah, he won a playoff game against the Steelers, and last year was an off year, but Baker was hurt last year. So with that said, he gets the benefit of the doubt because he was injured. So we'll just have to see what happens this year. But again, I'm not mad about this because Sam Darnold didn't turn any heads last season. After McCaffrey got injured, things really unraveled, and then he ended up getting injured, but he did come back. The Panthers, of course, brought back Cam Newton, started 3-0, and then they went on to lose like 4 straight games. And then they were the second team. Arizona was undefeated until Green Bay beat them. But then they beat the Arizona Cardinals. And, of course, Kyler Murray didn't play in that game. But the Cardinals were still a really good team, and they did make the playoffs last year. And they brought back Cam Newton, and that was Cam's first game. And, of course, he scored the touchdown on his first touch of the game. And he screamed, "I'm back, I'm back, I'm back!" And the Panthers won that game 34-10, and then they didn't win another game the rest of the season. They were 5-5, looking as if they were about to make one last playoff push, and they ended up losing out, and they completed their 3rd 5-win season in a row. So, what do we have to lose here? What do we have to lose? Because the team has a great defense. They have a great defense. People on the outside looking in will look at the points that they gave up. The Panthers were number 2 in defense last year, but when your offense is keeping you on the field and they're not scoring touchdowns and constantly punting the ball, there's only so much your defense can do before they start giving up the big plays because they're spending way too much time on the field. And that's what we saw from Carolina last year. Defense was not the problem. Offense just wasn't innovative. it was handoff to McCaffrey, screen pass to McCaffrey, run McCaffrey into the ground until he's injured. And we've seen what has happened to McCaffrey the last few years. He's been injured because they have no innovation on offense, the Panthers. But they do have McAdoo now as the offensive coordinator. And hey, let's just see what happens. This is one of those situations where you just see what happens, because things are gonna have to change eventually, because you can't have this much talent around and not be getting the job done. That's how you run off a fan base right there. People aren't going to stick around and constantly be forced to watch these 5-win seasons. They're just not. And also you got Robbie Anderson, who I found this video to be like, I saw this on Twitter, and I'm just looking at Robbie like, man, Robbie was really on one yesterday. And I just thought it was funny, because we remember Robbie Anderson, when asked about Baker Mayfield a few months ago, he did not mix words. He was not on board. But now Baker is his quarterback. And this was during the time where we were still in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson. But this is what Robbie Anderson had to say after a workout yesterday. Check this out.
And for all you sleeping on me, doubting on me, you feel me? I'm gonna show y'all that the last time y'all count me out, because y'all know how I'm stepping, y'all know how I'm rocking. You feel me? Straight up. Ain't playing, and that's what it is. All that little, you feel me? Nonsense and all that little BS can't stop me, won't stop me, never did, never will. You feel me? Came with nothing. You feel me? You feel me? And that's how I'm still rocking like I ain't got nothing. You feel me? And that's the difference. You feel me? I ain't had no handout, no red carpet, no none of that. You feel me? And that's why I'm rocking how I'm rocking. You feel me? And ain't nobody gonna stop because I'm a rocket. You hear me? I take off and that's that. You feel me? Straight up. Y'all got me. You feel me? And I ain't playing. All that little be on, I don't condone none of that. You feel me? I don't be on none of that. You feel me? And that's why I be at, away from all that. You feel me? And I gets it in. I do what I got to do, and I grind for mine. And that's facts. You feel me? Straight up. I got me. I'm gonna show y'all that what time it is. You feel me? And with all this, I don't want to hear none of that. Stand all that little y'all be on. Keep saying all that little. Y'all done counted me out for the last time, and that's facts. Straight up. I ain't playing with y'all ass.
So Robbie was not playing. He was on one, and y'all got him messed up, like he said. Robbie Anderson did not have a great season last year. He did not have a good season at all. He was on my fantasy team, and he just, I kept him on the bench because he was just not producing for your boy. But Robbie was working out, and he's saying that, y'all heard the video. So, we've heard this from Cam. We've heard Cam constantly say how he can be a starter in the league and how he just continued to fail every time he comes out and say that. So, okay. All right, Robbie. Here go your time to shine, my guy. I like Robbie Anderson. Robbie's a fast receiver. He can ball, but last season just wasn't it. So let's see, where is it? I'm trying to find his numbers. And even just without the numbers, if you watch the games, he had a hard time getting open, drop balls, and he was just, for a guy that is as fast as him, he was just a non-threat. Robbie Anderson was a non-threat at the receiver position last year. Finished with 519 yards, 53 receptions, and just 5 touchdowns. Like I said, the stats were bad, but you have to watch the games just to see how bad it was. Could not get open. That was just the Panthers receiving core last year. They had a hard time creating separation from the defensive backs. But this is going to be interesting to see. I cannot wait to see what happens here. We are 2 months away from the opening game of the regular season, which is Browns and Panthers. So yes, I do not suspect Deshaun Watson will be playing in that game. I do think he will be. Look, Vegas just changed the line to 1. Cleveland, they're now favoring it. Cleveland was favored by 3, but Baker has dropped the line for all of these games. Baker is we're 1 point better with Baker. We were underdogs against the Rams in October by 9, and now we're underdogs by 8. So the line has dropped against Cleveland. Baker will be in that game. I think Baker will be the starter unless Matt Corral just comes out and just do some Russell Wilson type stuff, or even Sam Darnold. I don't suspect Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback come week 1 against the Browns. I do think it'll be Baker Mayfield, but look at these lines. These lines have dropped. And then the one game we were favored against the Falcons went up. So Baker made us 1 point better. But, the Lions can say what they want. On paper, can say what they want. But the real proof is when you actually step on the field and play the games. So we got Cleveland on 9/11 in Carolina. And our first preseason game is Saturday, August 13th. So like a month away from that against Washington. So, hey, training camp is about to start. The Browns went on and unloaded them. So let's get it. Let's see what happens. Appreciate y'all for hearing me out. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all soon. When people see this, they're going to say, well, he really wasn't a nice guy. He may have been a tyrant. Well, that's because you never won anything. I wanted to win, but I wanted them to win and be a part of that as well. Look, I'm only doing this because it is who I am. That's the way I played the game. That was my mentality. And if you don't want to play that way,